Hello and welcome. My name is Erin Kaloran, and today we are going to discuss digital technology, and I'll also be speaking to people living abroad in Australia who depend on these technologies on an everyday basis to communicate with friends and family back in Ireland. Digital technology is a phenomenon that has improved exponentially over the past number of years, being used by billions of people worldwide. With technology such as real-time video calling, it makes the world a much smaller place. I recently spoke to Paul Doyle, a Dublin-born Australian resident of 17 years, about his views on digital technology. So, Paul, you are living in Perth in Western Australia, and I'm sure by living abroad, you rely on some form of digital technology to communicate with your family and friends living back at home. So tell me, what kind of impact has digital technology had on you while living abroad?
Yeah, digital technology has been fantastic for someone like me living so far away from Ireland, particularly over the past 17 years. I'm here 17 years now, and the improvement in technology, it's made it so much easier to communicate now with people back home. With the likes of Zoom and FaceTime, it means that I can be in almost daily communication with my family back in Ireland if I need be.
Do you find it at all reassuring that although you may not be able to fly home at the moment, that you can still see them on these video call platforms?
Yeah, it is very reassuring. The fact that I can't really fly home is makes it all the more difficult. But knowing that, as I said, Zoom calls and FaceTime, it feels like we're almost with our family. My mother died in April. Unfortunately, we were in the throes of lockdown, which meant that I couldn't get home. We covered the funeral via Zoom for the couple of days that she was at home before she passed away. And on the day of the funeral, we also used Zoom, and there was a live stream for the mass and the burial, and it felt like we were actually just there in person.
That's just awful, and no one should have to go through that. But are you somewhat grateful that this kind of technology exists, that although you weren't able to be there physically, you still got to experience it in some sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if it had happened 17 years ago and I, for whatever reason, wasn't able to get home, I would have been completely felt isolated from my family. Yeah, it was an incredible experience, and we were so grateful that that technology is there.
And just lastly there, would you regard yourself as pro technology?
Yeah, I'm very much in favour of the technology that's available now. I think some people take it to the extreme, and they spend probably maybe a little bit too much time on their phones and social media. I use it as a tool to communicate, and sometimes, for business purposes I have to use this technology, but overall I think it is a wonderful tool, but I don't let it kind of consume my own life.
With 62,000 Irish-born people now residing in Australia, it has become a home from home for many. Speaking to Lauren O'Reilly in Adelaide in South Australia, we also spoke about how she utilises digital technology. So, Lauren, I'm sure that living so far away from home is very hard. So tell me, how important is technology to you with regards to living abroad and communicating with those back home?
I actually can't stress how important it is to me. Being on the other side of the world with all my friends and family in Ireland, it's extremely tough. So it's such an amazing facility to have. Like, for instance, I can use Zoom whenever I want, or call my mum or anyone if I'm having a bad day. It's just really great. It makes you feel like you actually are there with them. The only thing is time difference can be a bit of a pain, but apart from that, it's been amazing.
Obviously, it's a very lonely and difficult time for everyone. So, do you think that you're using these technologies more than you previously have?
Yeah, I definitely am. It's usually like a daily thing, routine for me now. Obviously it depends on, as I said, the time difference, but it usually is, if it's not every day, it's every second day at least. It's really, really helpful for me, especially, as you said, it is a really tough time for everyone. And being over here and kind of feeling alone, I really do need that technology to help me feel close to my loved ones. I was actually supposed to fly home on the 17th of December, but obviously with COVID and the Australian borders being shut, I won't be able to fly home now, unfortunately. So my parents and I are going to have a virtual Christmas dinner. So I'll be over here in Adelaide, I'll be having a really late dinner, and then they'll be having their dinner at home. So it'll be really nice. I think it will really make me feel like I am there with them, and so I am really, really looking forward to it. I know it's not the same as being there, but in some way, you know, it's definitely better than not being there at all.
So just touching on my final question here, do you think that if these methods of communication were not available, do you think you would be coping as well as you are living abroad by yourself?
No, I know myself, and I know 100% I would not be coping well at all without this technology. I'm so grateful that we live in this day and age, and we're fortunate enough to have this technology. So I know in my heart and soul that I would not be coping well at all without it. It really is the next best thing to being at home. So I really can't complain. It's been amazing.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me today, Lauren. I hope you have a great virtual Christmas.
Thank you.
While speaking to both Paul and Lauren, I learned just how important digital technology is to those living abroad and just how much they rely on it every day to keep in contact with loved ones across the globe. Although some people may say that there are some negatives to technology, you cannot deny that it is a fantastic tool, and we are lucky to live in a world where we can pick up the phone and see those living abroad in an instant. Even just 15 years ago, that would not have been possible. Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a lovely day, and maybe just appreciate the advanced world we live in a little more.